We are focused tonight on a couple of different news stories, but we are going to focus on first how your thoughts, your energy, your attention have the power to guide your future and how this is in your hands. So, thank you everybody who's joining us tonight. Let's go ahead and start there. I actually sent out an email a couple hours ago discussing this and really just getting my thoughts out as I was getting ready for the show. You know, I usually check the social media feeds, I check the news wires, I check the mainstream media, I check the alternative media, I check RSS feeds, I check court records. I just really dig, look what's going on. And especially, as you guys know by now, I aim to find stories that I think are relevant, important, but not necessarily the same things you're going to hear discussed on every other show. And, I saw things about today, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, starts in Chicago. And, there's protests there and good for everybody there. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. I saw things about Putin saying something about welcoming Westerners to Russia, and any number of topics we could go on about that are in the corporate mainstream and even the alternative media. And I was just, I had this kind of reflection, and it's not the first time I've had this reflection, but I was remembering and recollecting on the fact that where we put our attention, not only does it our state of mind, like obviously if you're a miserable person because you're just watching horrible news all day and you're letting that consume you and impact the way you feel, you might in turn treat people around you, friends, family, etc., in certain ways. I mean, I've had this happen. I think any number of us who've gotten to arguments on the internet and then turned around to a spouse or a loved one or a child maybe and shouted at them or just took out that aggression and that pent up energy we were feeling from the internet onto other people in our real world, right? So we know that our emotional state is impacted. That's obvious, I think. And if that's not obvious, go to thepyramidofpower.net, watch chapter 3 of the Pyramid of Power series on big tech, and you can learn all about the experiments that they've run with social media, Facebook and others, to see how they can manipulate our emotions and to try to get us addicted to the dopamine of the clicks and the likes and the thumbs ups and the hearts and all that sort of stuff. And so I was just reflecting on this and really thinking, okay, what kind of show do I want to put together? Yes, I want to inform and educate people, as we're going to do tonight. We are going to cover some news, but I don't want to do it in a way, and this is something that I've always strived at the Conscious Resistance and on our platform here. And even that name, though, I think some of you might, hear that and think we're just a spiritual, conscious, whatever, quote unquote, new age thing, although we're not new age. But no, it's an effort to do journalism that is more conscious, if you will, and actually considers the viewers and the readers. Like, I don't want to put out information. Of course, I want to follow the truth wherever it goes, but I don't want to just put out information with a focus on negativity and making people think that it's the end of the world. Like I've seen a lot of the independent mainstream alternative media, go to the direction of clickbait, like true clickbait. Like every video is like, you'll never believe what's happened. Oh my God, civil war. And they're, just whatever. You guys know the channels. Luke Rakowski has become one of the most infamous people. I could name others who used to do real journalism and are focused on clickbait. And a lot of people, as I've been harping on recently, they will monetize your fear, your sadness, your apathy, whatever, even in the independent media, whether they realize they're doing it or not, by constantly just looking for something to get you triggered, to get you outraged. This is known as outrage farming, obviously clickbait, things like that, that it's meant to get you to have a feeling, a reaction, and then to click and tune in. Now, it doesn't. The goal isn't necessarily to make you feel empowered. The goal often is to maybe sell you something or just to keep you listening, keep you watching. But the point is that type of independent media is not what we do at the Conscious Resistance. So I think about this whenever I want to bring you news stories and how can I inform you and educate you to whatever degree anybody who listens to my audience. I know my audience isn't the biggest in the world, but to those who do listen and who are influenced by the stories and the things I focus on, I want to do so in a conscious way. I want to talk about things that will empower you. And even when I do talk about the negative things in the world, because as I'm going to go into a moment, I'm not talking about ignoring the world either. But even when I do talk about what's going on in the world, I want it to be in as much of an empowering way as possible. That doesn't mean I want to blow smoke up your ass and tell you everything's great, the world's wonderful, let's just pray and meditate and it's all going to be fixed. I'm not here to say that either. But I also don't want to just feed you black pills, doom porn, fear porn, tell you the whole world's coming to an end. I like to try to highlight when there are people working on positive solutions. And in fact, I wish more of you out there would be just as interested in the solutions as you would about the crazy, scary shit about the world. Like, for example, the title of this broadcast, I can almost guarantee you, based on the title, which is "The Power to Guide Your Future is in Your Hands," that I will get less viewers on this video, not only tonight while we're live, but in the coming days afterwards. This will get less views than if I did a video about the latest documents of Jeffrey Epstein, something like that, because people have been programmed to obsess over the problems, and we don't spend so much energy talking about the solutions and what we can do for ourselves. So, and I don't know how to fight this. I'm not trying to fight human nature. I'm just doing my thing. But my point is, I've seen this over the years. I can talk about something empowerment. Some of you get it. Some of you are on the level of understanding the true purpose of the conscious resistance. Some of you just want to hear me talk about Jeffrey Epstein or the Utah ritual abuse or fluoride or the Finders or Agenda 2030 or technocracy. And those are all things that I care about and I've reported on. So, obviously I care about them. But the solutions are equally as important. And I've just always noticed that some people don't want to tune into that. My point, though, is this. Every day and every week, there are going to be some new topics on the right hand of your social media feed or the left hand, depending on what platform, which topics are trending at the present moment. So again, right now it's DNC Chicago, or it's Putin in Russia. This is on Twitter, this is on Instagram, this is Facebook, YouTube, Google. All over the mainstream internet, there are places that are trying to tell you what everybody else cares about in the world and to get you pulled in. Now, for one, we can't even necessarily trust, and I wouldn't blindly trust that what they tell us is trending at any given moment is accurate. But the point is this. The point is that we can't trust them to be in control of our attention. And you shouldn't be handing over your attention to the Googles, the big techs, the governments of the world. But because we've gotten so used to being on our digital devices, whether they're phones or laptops, like the one I work on all day, and being plugged into that world, often our attention and our energy, whether we like it or not, is swayed and is pulled in different directions based on what is trending. Because once something's trending, if it's a genuine trend, then of course what happens is maybe something in the world happens, or somebody does a breaking news report, or some piece of information gets out there, and then people start to learn about it and they start to talk about it. And then it truly does become trending because people are sharing it everywhere and it's organic. Now, I think that still does happen in the world. I'm not saying everything's fake, but I do think that there absolutely are some engineered elements of our world around us, that we see that there are crafted, manufactured trends and things to be outraged and offended by. I see this so much, like the right wing is always offended by this thing this week, and the left wing's offended by this thing. And if you buy into that, my friends, you are allowing them, they, and by the way, one of my favorite, people say, well, who is they? That's one of the questions I'm working on answering with the Pyramid of Power series. But one answer for who is they is the hierarchy enslaving you. Get it? T, the hierarchy, H, E, enslaving, Y, you. That is who they are. The hierarchy enslaving you. And you could, define that how you like. But they will always benefit off manipulating and directing our attention one way or the other. This is something that we need to be aware of. So when I come to you and I want to inform you about the world, I do so in the sense of saying, my friends, let's take a deep breath. Let's take this information and let's not, because emotions are important. I talk about this in the Conscious Resistance Trilogy, that we need a balance of intuition and emotion as well as reason and logic. It's not one over the other. It's this balancing act between the two, right? And so our emotions can be really helpful, but also these people have learned how to manipulate our emotions with algorithms, with just fake videos, AI images, etc., and to get you feeling one way or the other. And that is the whole goal. So you have to be, this is, of course, goes back to the importance of being in tune with yourself, whether that's through meditation, through prayer, through silence, and in general, just getting time to be in charge of yourself, asking yourself, who am I? What is the core of my being? And having some effort to know that inner self. That's my whole point. Is if you are the one who is in tune with yourself, if you are the one who knows who you are, if you are the one who is free in that way, in that ultimate sense of being in your own mind, your own heart, then nobody can sway you. You can take information in, you can look at it and observe it, okay? And then you can say, no, thank you. That doesn't align with what I know to be true and real and authentic and honest, etc. I'm not going to buy into that. Or if you don't do that, if you don't have that level of cognition, you can end up basically being just this is what I think people refer to as an NPC, a person who just promotes the latest thing. Okay, they're telling me to be offended by this thing, so I'm going to wave that. I'm going to change my Facebook picture or Twitter picture, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Oh no, we're supposed to support this cause. Let me go that direction, wear that hat or that shirt or whatever. I'm supposed to support this candidate, etc. Like a person that is just an empty vessel to be poured into. That is what they want. They want us to be empty vessels that they can manipulate and use. But if you are in touch with yourself, in tune with yourself and your higher power, whatever that means to you, then you are a lot less likely to be swayed and manipulated. Now, back to what I was touching on earlier. This does not mean put your head in the sand. I'm not advocating for not paying attention to the world. And this is one of the big reasons I started the Conscious Resistance 11 years ago, because I was running into people in the spiritual community who thought being awake meant that we were always happy. You know, let's come together and let's talk about spirituality. Let's talk about our meditation groups and our consciousnesses and our ayahuasca trips, etc. But don't talk about the bad things. And don't just meditate and pray. It'll all go away, etc. And that wasn't satisfactory for me. Again, I was an activist. I was out in the physical world fighting for causes I cared about, but I was also a spiritual person. And that's when this idea of the conscious resistance came to me. The conscious resistance is the realization, the understanding, the acceptance that the struggle for a free world that we are, I believe, all going for, is that it's going to take the struggle against our internal tyrant, our doubts, fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that can hold us back, as well as the obvious struggle against the physical institutions, be that government, corporations, etc. So to me, that is what the conscious resistance is about. So that is not only like I'd say a philosophical activist type movement, if you will, but it's also the way that I approach my journalism through the conscious resistance. And the only other outlet that I've ever seen do this, and I will give credit to, is Collective Evolution. And then they had a newer one. I can't remember it right now. I've followed it for a while, but I've lost touch. There's just so much going on. I'm kind of in my own world. But Collective Evolution and then their newer outlet were like one of the only places, let's see if I can find it, that when they would put out articles about different things, and it could be everything from UFOs to spiritual stuff. Oh, it's called The Pulse. That's what it is. Or politics and whatever. At the beginning of the articles, you'll see this thing that I've always really appreciated. It'll say, hey, first, take a deep breath. Before you read this article, prepare yourself for, some difficult or intense information. Remember to stop every now and then if you need to breathe, etc. And maybe that seems silly to some people, but to me, I think it's a holistic approach to journalism and saying like, yeah, look, we're going to report you the truth. We're going to tell you what's going on, but also we care about your state of mind. We care about the way that you are going to feel before, during, and after reading or watching this journalistic piece of information. And we want you to come away feeling empowered, even if there's no clear, concrete solution to the problem that are being reported on, at the very least, knowing that part of your empowerment is being informed. And I think some people forget about this, that they forget that the beautiful act of being awake is part of the whole thing. Like, and if you're awake though, I think we need to go beyond that, because we can be the awake, the aware ones. And this is sort of where we're going to wrap this up as we get into our news stories of the night, with the reminder that the information I'm going to share with you tonight is not meant to make you think the world's about to end or to leave you in a state of fear and a state of panic, but to keep you informed and hopefully better prepared to take on whatever it is that coming our way. But if you are awake to what's going on in the world, but you do nothing about it because your emotional state is being swayed by those algorithms and by the trending topics and the clickbait and the outrage, every other day or every week, as much as you're tuned in. I know some of us are not as tuned in. I'll be honest, I spend 10 hours a day easily on the computer doing different types of work. And I break that up with bike rides and trips to my land and going on walks and things like that. But I'm definitely spending more time on my computer than I used to because of my work increasing and all that. Now, that might not be the case for some of you, so it might be easier to avoid this. But for those of us who have come to live on the internet, and I'm sure some of you are spending more time than me even, it can be quite easy to fall into following the different trending topics. And so you might be awake, but at the same time, you're letting the hierarchy enslaving you, control your state of mind and dictate your state of emotion. And if you understand this, that your thoughts become your words, your words become your habits become your actions, and your actions will become your destiny. If you let these people be in your head and manipulate and direct and impact your state of mind, your state of thoughts, then your thoughts and your words and your actions are going to be corrupted, and you'll be influenced in this way. And I'm not saying that, again, let's unplug from the news and pay no attention. I know some of you choose to do that. That's not what I'm advocating. I think we should be informed, but we don't have to let them be in control. We can still remain the ones who are in control of our lives and our mental affairs, rather than letting these people dictate things to us. That is what I'm calling for. So I just wanted to, I got this in my head, and I had to send this email, and I figured this was a good way to start the show, because we are going to cover some news stories tonight. I got two main stories. We're going to also play a music video tonight. We're going to do the whole thing, but I just wanted to really maybe kind of start off fresh and say, the reason I'm doing independent media, writing articles, doing documentaries, books, etc., is not to scare anybody, to not make people paranoid, to not make people depressed, but it's always about trying to help people become empowered. So that's what my focus is tonight. And you can call that preaching to the choir, you can call it whatever you want, but I think that actually most people out there who need to hear this message won't hear this message, because as I said, the title isn't something about Jeffrey Epstein or the current event of the day, which is where most people's attention goes. Like if I was to do a daily show, like some of my friends out there, and I'm not hating on anybody, like for example, Ryan Christian does amazing work, and he's in a league of his own, but there are others who are just literally following whatever's trending that day, and they'll put out a 15-minute video for you, just to have this bite-sized chunk of here's what's bad in the world. And what are they really doing for you? Are they empowering you in any way? Are they really informing you? Not really. So this is hopefully a call to action for those of you who are paying attention, because yes, it is being quote unquote awake and aware plus action. I call it being activated. Like you saw the trailer at the beginning of this show. It was a trailer for the People's Reset UK. That's taking action, getting activated, getting organized in your communities. Imagine this, my friends. This will be the wrap up, and we'll take a quick break and dive into our first story of the night. Imagine this: if each of us chose not to allow the topics that are in the trending categories or the latest offense of the week to be the guide of our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Imagine if each of us decided to unplug, to exit from those systems even, and to allow ourselves to be informed just enough to know what these crazy fucks are up to, but at the same time to remain in control of our faculties, our emotional state, our mental state of being, and to hold on to that control and instead redirect that same energy and that same focus that we give to them into what we can do for ourselves. If you're awake, great, you've made it part of the journey, but you're not done yet. At least I don't think it's over yet. Awake is not enough. We need to be activated, action-oriented. So now that you're awake and you're aware, you can either watch podcasts for the rest of your life and watch the world get worse, or you can start doing things and focusing on solutions that you think will help you in your local area and your local community. Yes, we are a worldwide network of freedom lovers, but it doesn't matter, my friends, if you don't take care of your own community, like I'm trying to do in my community. And if each of us do that, and we inspire and motivate each other, and we share best tips and tricks and strategies of, hey, I'm trying this in my community, it's working. I'm trying this thing, it's not having such a good effect. And we take those ideas and we adapt them to our local communities, we will see real change. But we need to, in some ways, we need to stop focusing on the global big picture and focus more on our local. Not to say it doesn't matter and our world isn't interconnected, because it is. But I mean, how many times can you hear from people that we're about to go to freaking World War III before you tune it out? Nobody knows. All these people online are trying to act like they're experts on things that they're not in. And I include myself in that category occasionally. I've tried to step back from that and focus on what I can report on and can document myself, instead of just throwing an opinion out on every freaking topic that comes out every other day or every week. Instead, put your energy on yourself, what you can do for your family, your friends, and your local community, your neighborhood, your street, your church, what have you. Start a local freedom group. Use websites like freedomcells.org to find people. That's the solution, my friends. Let's take our energy back, our emotions, our attention back from them, and let's focus on what we can do for ourselves.
Since 2012, the Conscious Resistance Network has been an independent media organization focused on empowering individuals through education, philosophy, health, and community organizing. We work to create a world where corporate and state power do not rule over the lives of free human beings. Our motto is leading by example and helping others in their pursuit of freedom. Visit theconsciousresistance.com to find our articles, documentaries, interviews, podcasts, books, and more. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.